think longevity is way underrated. A lot of people just don't know what it actually takes. And maybe some people aren't willing to pay the price, and they think the opportunity hasn't presented itself within a certain period of time, then they'll go find the opportunity somewhere else. But actually, what I think honours God is actually when we actually stick around and we're actually faithful, not just faithful to God, but we're actually faithful to the people that we serve with, that we serve under. I want to be part of a team, and I want to lead a team that actually wants to be around for the long haul.
This is the Hillsong Creative Podcast, where we hear from creative experts, influencers, dreamers, and doers, what they've learned and what we can learn from their journey as we explore, respond, and create.
Well, hey guys, it's so good to have you listening to today's episode. This is Rich Langton speaking. I've been off for a few weeks and it's so good to be back with you. We're in for a great episode today with our creative pastor from Hillsong UK, Pastor Jay Cook. He is a good man. I've known him a long time and you're going to really love this interview. I think there's something in it for everyone. See, Jay is... he's a quiet achiever. He's someone who's been around for a long time and who's just stayed the path and been faithful in and out of season. And I think you'll hear him speak from his perspective now of where he's at, but you'll also hear, if you listen to it, the wisdom of years and years of serving faithfully. He's an uncomplicated guy. He's got a great attitude and a servant heart, and I think you're really going to love it, and I think you're going to enjoy this episode. Annie Garrett is interviewing him, so let's jump straight in.
Okay, you lead a team of hundreds of creatives, like maybe thousands of creatives. Do you consider yourself a creative?
Yes and no. I think I wouldn't say I'm the most creative person, but I would say I'm creative for sure.
So I heard that you have said something to your team, and you said, or talking about your team, you said, don't set impossible bars for people, but set high bars. Would you say the same thing when it comes to creativity?
I think when it comes to creativity, there should be a sense of daring to do the impossible.
Right.
I think there should just be a boldness and a daring to what we do and trying something new. And maybe it's kind of sometimes outside of our reach, but I think we should still kind of be going for that when it comes to creativity, because I think that's how we push boundaries and push out borders, and that becomes the new norm to what we do. And just... because in order to get past the line, you have to try something that we've never done before. So I think we need to try the impossible.
Yeah. What do you think is like the enemy of creativity? Like, what have you learned through the years that you have to be careful of, or like something that can just kind of hinder your creativity? Is there anything?
I think when we stop taking things in and when we stop seeing the world as like our palette, I think that's when, for me, I know that's when like the creativity kind of wears down a bit. Yeah. But when I always kind of keep my eyes open to everything that's around me, because I think anything and everything can become some kind of creative stimulant to spark ideas and creativity. But we have to kind of keep our eyes open to it. And it could be walking down the street, seeing a billboard, seeing a poster, seeing a shop window. Anything that we have our eyes open to can spark something within us to come up with other ideas. And whether it could be, you could see the most random thing, building, but it could actually spark ideas for lyrics. Yeah. You don't have to hear a song to come up with lyrics. It can be anything.
Just life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of life, you've got 2 kids.
I do.
2 beautiful girls.
Yeah.
Do you find that being a dad has changed, well, even what you're talking about, changed the way that you do see things and that you do view life and kind of draw creativity from?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, before I had the girls, even when it comes to like understanding love, it's you have this kind of you understand love a bit, but the concept is so small. I feel like, but when you have your own flesh and blood, something that you've created, it's your understanding of love just is like blown out of the window. And then you kind of think about how God loves us, and even how much I love my girls. Like, it still doesn't even come close to how much God loves us. But it's just, it changes everything. It changes the way you see things. It changes the way that I think you want to do life, and how you want to act, the things that you want to say, because you're so conscious of this world that you're creating for your kids to grow up in now.
Totally. Do you see anything in your girls like
that
they're leaning towards? One
oldest,
is like a brand new baby, right?
Yeah.
No.
So our youngest is 11 months.
Okay.
But my oldest, Loxie, she loves dancing.
Yeah.
There's this program called Strictly Come Dancing in the UK. I don't know if it's here, but she absolutely loves it. And so it's like ballroom dancing.
Yeah.
So every Saturday night, she's in the living room, she's dancing in front of us, and so she's just got like such a fun spirit about her. I think she'll do something, definitely. She's got a lot of creativity about her.
Yeah.
And then our youngest will, I don't know, there's so much unlocked potential there at the moment.
She could do anything.
Yeah. I mean, she's barely one, so she's not doing that much at the moment.
She's not dancing yet? Wow. Okay. Okay, so you're a writer, you're a singer, you're a communicator, you lead a team of creatives. So you do a lot of stuff. Can you talk a little bit about maybe seasons where something you're super passionate about or you feel like is one of your great strengths, you actually lay it down and have to get good at something else? Or just like you have to change hats because you do different things.
Yeah, it's kind of the nature of, I think, when you're leading a big team and there's a lot of responsibilities, you do have to kind of in seasons pick and choose certain things. I would say there's definitely been, I mean, I love writing, and there's definitely been seasons where maybe I've had to kind of focus on other things to kind of build strength into those areas, whether it's within the team, whether it's within the leaders within the team, to actually get that to a place where then I can kind of not take my hands off it, but just it's working, it's running well, and there's definitely been times, even I would say that this last year, where I've kind of had to, I haven't been able to give as much time to, say, writing as I would have loved to, because I've needed to concentrate on a certain thing.
Yeah.
And then get that to a point where I can then, come back and actually do what I love, the things that I love doing. It'd be awesome if, you could just only do the things that you love, but that's kind of not how life always works. So you need to, as leaders, we actually have to give attention to the things, the lifeblood of the team, and just everything that actually makes everything work. Yeah. Is
it hard to lead creative people?
I wouldn't say it's hard. I just say it's a unique thing to do.
Yeah.
And sometimes you feel like you're managing so many different types of people, because there's no one person the same. So there's no one answer that's going to work for every single person.
Right.
The same way, but I like, it's an absolute joy to kind of lead the creative team, and but you constantly having to take each individual on the journey,
right?
And you're trying to do that at the same time as leading a whole team of people. Two different dynamics. You're trying to lead the mass, but then you're trying to lead the individual as well,
right?
And I think that's kind of what we're doing when it comes to, I guess, the unique personalities within the team. But I love it.
So you're leading the team. How long have you been on the team?
I've been on the team for 17 years.
Okay. And I would imagine the team looks really different now than it did.
Yeah, I think, when I first came onto the team, there was probably like 20, 30 people.
Right.
And now it's like in one campus. Now we've got 8 campuses, soon to be 12, 13.
Right.
With like hundreds of people in so many different areas. And, there's totally new areas that we have today than we had 17 years ago. There's just the need for it now.
Yeah.
And there probably wasn't the people back then anyway to kind of lead those areas. But yeah, it's actually amazing when you step back and look at the journey of the team and kind of the growth. It's actually incredible just to see kind of the people that have come in, and it's amazing how kind of God brings in the right people at the right time to really kind of develop an area and develop like a new side to the team as well. And it's great.
What about, because like life on any team even for a year, you've been there for a long time. Lots of season changes, probably lots of transitions, people in, people out.
Different roles, all that kind of stuff.
So many changes. So how do you keep reinventing yourself or make sure that you don't stay stuck so that you can't keep adapting as things change? Like as a leader and as a creative leader, how do you think you do that?
I think when it comes to that, I would say being a learner is like a massive thing.
So good.
I think we have to live life as learners. Otherwise, if we stop learning, then we just get stuck in the one thing or the couple of things that we're responsible for. Mm-hmm. But I think if we're open to learning, we're always going to grow. We're always going to move forward and be able to take on new things and actually, I think, bear a greater weight of responsibility to what we do as well. Mm-hmm. I'd say that's probably the biggest thing over the 17 years. And like, I'm not saying it's always been like that, but I think over the time I've learned actually, if I'm going to stick around for another 17 years, hopefully it's a lot longer. This should be a lot longer than that. But I actually need to stay a learner and not just kind of be content with where I'm at in whatever area, whether it's like my leadership capacity or creative capacity. I actually need to continue to learn from others, and just look for ways to grow.
Yeah. How have you ever found yourself in a place where somebody else on your team is doing what you would rather be doing, or even like what you actually think maybe you could do better? Like what would be your strength? You know what I mean? You know, when you're in seasons where you feel really capable in one area and then you're doing something completely different.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you go in and out of those seasons as well. And I don't think you ever just kind of come out of that season, never hit it again. But I think the thing that I've learned is to kind of trust God in those seasons. Right. Because we can't really, or we should never be trying to orchestrate those things for ourselves. I think, we can do all we can in the natural, whether it's upskilling and just honing our craft to the best of our abilities. But when we do what we do, which is we're part of a team, we're part of a church, and we serve under leaders, we actually have to trust our leaders and trust the decisions that they make, and we actually have to really back them as well. Yeah. But when you're in that season of, you feel like actually you could be doing that, like that's, when we sing about trusting God, we read about trusting God, that's where it's really put into action. Right. In the moments where you feel like you're ready, you feel like you could be doing more, but maybe like the opportunity hasn't presented itself, or you haven't been asked within the time frame that you thought you were going to get asked. That's where trusting God really kind of kicks in, and you go, actually, no matter what, whether I get to do that or I stay doing this for the foreseeable future, I'm going to trust you, and I know that you're going to bring out the best in whatever circumstance and whatever the situation, how it moves forward. Yeah. Yeah, and because like, what's the alternative? Like, if you don't trust God, what's the alternative? Exactly. You just bow out, and then what good does that do? Like, we have to trust God. If we really mean it, then we have to do it. We have to put it into action.
Do you think it's important for creatives to be in community with other creatives?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, that's an important part of it. Why?
Absolutely. We talk a lot about it when, within our church, within our team, like, we're better together. But we are. I think there's no one person that is better by themselves. Even like Jesus, he was always with other people. He was always in community with other people. And if it was good enough for him, then it should be good enough for the, what we might see as the creative geniuses. And I think we can sometimes maybe make excuses for that side of things and say solidarity is good, but actually no, it's not. Right. Like, we were made to be in community with each other. And the thing with community, like, we draw out the best of each other. The Bible talks about iron sharpening iron, and that's what community does. It actually brings out the best in each other, and hopefully it actually spurs us on to be more like Christ. That's what community should do as well.
10 years from now, What do you hope is like the thing that you have kind of left with your team? Let's say you're there or you're not there. What's the one thing that as creatives you hope that you've instilled in them?
I think it's kind of what we touched on just before. It's actually paying the price to stick around.
Yeah.
I think longevity is way underrated. There's a lot, not the majority, but a lot of people just don't know what it actually takes.
Yeah.
And maybe some people aren't willing to pay the price, and because they think the opportunity hasn't presented itself within a certain period of time, then they'll go find the opportunity somewhere else. But actually, what I think honors God is actually when we actually stick around and we're actually faithful to, not just faithful to God, because I think that can be easy to do, but we're actually faithful to the people that that we serve with, that we serve under, the people that we lead. And I want to be part of a team, and I want to lead a team that actually wants to be around for the long haul.
Yeah.
And not just look for the next opportunity, but decide that they're going to give everything that they've got into what they're a part of, knowing that there's actually generations to come that are going to reap the benefits of the price that they paid as well.
Yeah, I love it. Well, you have set a great example for them to follow.
Oh, thanks.
So thank you, and thanks for chatting with us.
Thank you.
Well, I don't know if you're like me, but as I listen to Jay speak, I'm challenged by the attitude that he has for longevity and sticking at it and just being faithful. And as creatives, I know it's so easy to be looking one way and then looking another way and looking out for opportunity and wondering if you're in the right place. But as creatives, it's so good that we can know that God has us where he wants us, and that we can continue to walk that out faithfully, and knowing that he will open doors that need to be opened and he'll close ones that need to be closed. So let's journey on, let's be faithful, and let's continue to stay the path. Next up, we've got this week's story for the Psalms of Ascent, and you can find out more at hillsong.com/WCC. And don't forget to join us in the 100-Day Creative Challenge.
Partnering with God looks like exactly that. It's a partnership. We each have a part to play, but obviously I think mine's minimal compared to what God does, because, he is so expansive, he's massive, and he does far greater things with the little that we ever bring him. And so I love that God does the crazy things that we never thought would be possible when we actually say yes to him. And even though it's like, God, this is all I have, it's hardly anything, but you give it to him and he actually takes it and says, cool, I can bless that. I'm definitely feeling challenged, because you're saying, what is obedience as a creative? It's obedience is following God's word, and in his word it says to create, it says to write a new song, not for our glory, and who knows where it'll go, and because the end result isn't on us. That's God's domain, and we can leave him with that, but that we would actually be obedient and actually create a new song that would tell of his goodness. And maybe that it wouldn't actually be for other ears, but it would be for a one-on-one worship experience. I'm meant to be where God's called me to be. And even if I saw this other thing that maybe had fame, notoriety, money, if that's not where God's called me to be, that is always going to be second to where God's actually called me to be.
Well, that's it for today's episode. I really hope you've enjoyed it. If you'd like to subscribe, you can do that pretty much anywhere you get podcasts. That's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and even YouTube. We'd also like to hear from you too. So if you have a comment, you can do that on our Instagram, which is @HillsongWCC, and we'll see you next time.